system and is the cause for widespread anger in the public. Hi, sir. Have you ever heard of Michael Gove?
Yes, I have.
You're aware that he's Educational Minister. Are you involved in any education yourself at all?
No.
Are you aware that he had no experience in the field of education before he was employed as Educational Minister?
I wasn't aware, but it doesn't surprise me. I know he was a newspaper editor or something at the time.
Yes, he was a journalist before. Do you feel that his role as Educational Minister so far has had a positive or a negative effect on education in this country?
I think he's caused quite a lot of turmoil without probably any positive so far.
Exactly, yes. He's had several bad decisions that some people might say.
Michael Gove has dashed the hopes of thousands more parents, teachers and pupils.
I think teachers will be alarmed when they see the speed at which the government is moving to essentially dismantle state education.
What is intolerable is that he has cynically raised the hopes of hundreds and thousands of families. You're a miserable pipsqueak of a man!
Life is still proving uncomfortable for the English Education Secretary, Michael Gove.
I couldn't live with myself if, having been given the chance to serve, I put the enjoyment of office before the power to do good.
The cause of this campaign is simple. What we aim to do is raise enough awareness in the general public about Michael Gove that we can successfully demand that he spends a minimum of 1 month as a teacher in a comprehensive school before being allowed to mount any more changes on the education system. Is there anything that you think he could do to improve his own ways?
Probably leave. Resign. I think he's beyond salvation.
There are some who are campaigning for him to teach a full term in a comprehensive school before he can make any more changes to the education system. Would you agree that this is necessary?
I think that would be fun. I think even if he actually spent a week trying to teach in a school, that would probably teach him something. Whether he's capable of learning, I don't know.
Because at the moment he's only taught one lesson or close to a day, and that's the only experience he's ever had as a teacher, which is rather bemusing.
And well, actually, that leads to a wider issue. Is that politicians today, on the whole, are career politicians and they haven't done something else first. So I'm old enough to remember when politicians came into politics after they'd often had a career doing something else, and therefore understood the world. And I think the real problem actually with modern politics is most senior politicians actually don't really know what happens outside Westminster. Yeah. So putting Michael Gove in the school would be very good.
Thank you very much for your time.
Reporting there. Well, now the Education Secretary, Michael Gove, is still here. We're joined by the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, Harry Harman. Do you accept the premise that political leaders of all parties are out of touch on this?
Well, actually, Ed Miliband was very well received in Peckham today. I mean, he came there and he listened and heard how terrified people were, but also people know that he's been really against the trebling of tuition fees, the taking away of the educational maintenance allowance, the cuts that's going to see youth workers cuts and police cuts. So,
is there a connection between all those things?
No,
and
you're
what
saying do people think that politicians are out of touch, and I was saying actually in that community where Ed Miliband came this morning, I mean, we saw Nick Clegg being booed, we saw Boris Johnson being booed, but actually, you know, Ed was really welcomed there. I mean, there is no excuse for what happened at all. There is absolutely no excuse, and that's the absolute priority at the moment. But sorting it out, people were really terrified.
It's reasonable for politicians of all parties to be on holiday at this time. It caught everybody on the hop pretty much, and the Prime Minister got back reasonably expeditiously. That would be the counter-argument, wouldn't it? That they've done as much as you would expect any government in very difficult circumstances to do.
Well, I think whether what was done was the right thing and whether it was done speedy enough is actually an issue further on down the line. People are still very frightened and very worried about whether or not they're going to be able to carry on with their business, whether they're going to be going to work. I mean, businesses in South London were being shut at 3 o'clock that should have been able to carry on trading until 8 o'clock. So no criticisms of
the handling from the government from your point of view at the moment?
I don't think people want to hear us doing anything other than now saying the absolute priority is that law and order should be restored. There will be discussions about underlying causes. I don't agree with Cameron when he says it's simple. It's not. It's very complex. But I think unpicking those strands are for another day. And I would say that, you know, there is a sense that young people feel they're not being listened to. That is not to justify violence, but I think that when you've got the trebling of tuition fees, they should think again about that. When you've got the EMA being taken away, when you've got jobs being cut and youth unemployment rising, and they're shutting the job centre in Camberwell, well, you should think again about that, because this is going to cost money. This does not help. All of this does not help reduce the deficit.